The Fox's New Channel. Children's book by Tuula Pere. Summary. After a series of failures, the always resourceful Francis the Fox finds a new way of attacking his opponents and raising his status. Ad money starts pouring in when his new business, the Fox's New Channel, begins broadcasting tabloid shows all day long. His questionable measures land him in hot water after he launches a smear campaign against the old mayor, William the Wolf. Francis's devious tricks send him to court to answer for his actions and may even put him in jail. Pages 2 and 3. Francis the Fox watched the scenery pass outside the train window and felt sad. "I never thought I would have to make this trip," he thought, and drew a long sigh. Only a few months ago, Francis was on top of the world and still under the impression he could build the highest office tower in the city. Then everything literally fell apart, just like a house of cards. I was left with nothing but a tall pile of unpaid bills, the Fox thought, weighing his grim state of affairs. He had decided to withdraw from the spotlight for a while, even though the spotlight was the very place where he felt most at home. Surely Mom understands that it was not all my fault, not at all. She's always believed in me, Francis reassured himself. Pages 4 and 5. The mother fox heartily welcomed her son back home, but deep inside she was worried about his visit. She knew of all the hardships Francis had encountered and was afraid she might not be able to help him. "I've tidied up your old room upstairs," she said, bustling about. "Here, everything's the same. You can stay as long as you like. It's your home, after all." But Francis was barely paying attention to what his mother was saying. "Actually, I'd like to stay in the big bedroom, the one with the large desk. I need a lot of space as I'm going to make plenty of plans. I'm not here on holiday." Mom sighed. Francis hadn't changed one bit. As always, only the biggest and the best was good enough for him, and even that was often not enough. Pages 6 and 7. Francis was so wrapped up in his plans that he didn't even come down to eat. Mom knocked on his door, but there was no answer. She peeked through the keyhole. Her son lay on the bed, surrounded by newspapers, and he was listening to radio stations and TV shows on every imaginable gadget. What on earth is he up to now? If only Francis didn't lose his head this time. Mom sighed, worried. It's best to call Dr. Owl. The doctor had often tried to help Mom with the upbringing of her son, but with poor results. There was simply nothing you could do with Francis. After a brief visit, Dr. Owl shook his head. "I'm afraid he's scheming up something big this time, perhaps bigger than ever before," he said. "He won't stay put for long." The doctor was right. Pages 8 and 9. A couple of days later, Francis shared some of his plans with his mother. "I am 100% certain that my businesses will achieve greater success if I can get some positive publicity. I want to become popular, or at least famous." And so Francis was full of excitement again. "But I need better connections than this sad old whistle-stop town can offer. I must get proper equipment." When delivery services brought boxes of electronic gadgets and all sorts of communication devices, it started to make sense to Mom. Francis was going to establish a new media channel to broadcast his own shows. "What are you going to present to your viewers?" Mom asked. "Myself, of course. I am, after all, a rather interesting personality." Francis had no doubt this was the case. Pages 10 and 11. After setting up the home studio, nothing could stop Francis. The roof and balconies were filled with all sorts of gadgets. Bright studio lights blazed long into the night, and loud show tunes could be heard from miles away. I'm sure viewers will be pleased with my stories. After all, my life has been quite an exciting ride. Francis broadcasted his shows from morning till night, and they were mostly about him and how extraordinary he was. His mother was not that thrilled. She had reluctantly agreed to assist him. Taking photographs was in fact quite a demanding task. First, she had to brush Francis's fur, then tidy up the set and carry around all sorts of video equipment. I can't hold up these lights much longer. Don't we already have enough photos for the day? Mom felt exhausted. Pages 12 and 13. In the village, Francis launched a marketing campaign, hanging up posters in the village store and along the roads. Here's something for all of you to follow. Francis thought, smiling to himself when he saw the advertisements for his shows. The list of his media outlets had grown to quite impressive proportions. Little by little, the villagers grew curious about the Fox's new shows. On his current affairs program, he was a ruthless host, disclosing all kinds of village matters without thinking twice about anyone's privacy or personal views. He created such a stir. Other channels started to broadcast Francis's bulletins and tabloids. Mom was worried. I'm afraid nothing will be the same in our village. Folks are fighting and accusing one another of all kinds of things. Is everything you have disclosed about our life here even true? Who cares? As long as I'm the talk of the town. Francis was pleased with his accomplishments, especially since the revenue from advertising was nicely filling up his empty bank account. Pages 14 and 15. Soon the fox had enough money to expand his business. It was time to return to the city. Francis said goodbye to his worried mother, who waved to him from the stairs of her house. "Take care of yourself, son." Now that he had gotten a taste for making money again, the young fox was filled with excitement. He found himself a spacious flat and set up a radio station with all the necessary recording and filming equipment. And so, the Fox's new channel was born. The growing revenue inspired the Fox to focus on making tabloid shows. After all, they were the real attraction among his audience. He came up with endless topics, which quickly hooked the entire city. He had a couple of slightly shady assistants who sniffed around to dig up the latest rumors. And when they came back with no juicy gossip or inside scoops, Francis simply whipped up stories off the top of his head. It's time to trump up stories about the folks who stood in the way of my success in this city. Oh, sweet revenge. The fox schemed and plotted with delight. A couple of delicious scoops about the bank's mischief and the real estate authorities' misconduct might spice up things just the way I need. Pages 16 and 17. Soon Francis the Fox had become a feared influencer. Many were worried about his stunts, which defamed innocent city residents and others. He accused whomever he pleased of all kinds of wrongdoings. His fake news and current events programs caused a lot of harm. Folks in the city started to mistrust one another, and friends turned into enemies. It was time for William the Wolf to pay Francis a visit in his office. I understand that you are very entrepreneurial by nature, but you must stick to the truth. The old wolf spoke to his former protege sternly. I have saved you from many troubles, but it's unacceptable that you are harassing innocent city residents with your ploys. You obviously don't know how modern times work, William. Communication is about selling stories to the masses. There aren't enough of them in real life, so that's why I make them up. And it brings me gobs of money. the fox explained delightedly. "You're back to your wicked ways." William the Wolf did not back down, but the fox only laughed at the mayor's advice. A falling out was inevitable. Pages 18 and 19. Mayor William the Wolf's visit did have an effect on Frances, but it was quite the opposite of what the mayor had hoped for. In fact, it only seemed to inspire Frances to show his true colors. It was as if all that mattered was growing his media empire. The popularity of his programs and broadcasts kept the money coming in. Let's see. Frances was sitting behind his large desk, meeting with a couple of gossip columnists. Today's subject could be bank manager Pauline the Bulldog. What can we come up with for her? Together, they plotted to release several small, untrue revelations about Pauline. They would claim that the bank manager was hooked on plastic surgery and regularly visited beauty clinics in the neighboring city. To spice it up, they found a few before and after photographs. The next day, the celebrity news ran a headline. "Pauline the Bulldog denies plastic surgery claims. Is she telling the truth? Compare the pictures." Pages 20 and 21. Francis, too, had become a celebrity in the city. Many found him utterly unbearable, but he also had plenty of admirers. "How nice it is that everyone greets me wherever I go. Some even ask me for an autograph and a picture with them," Francis told his employees in a staff meeting. "There's no reason to change our approach, as this is what brings in the money." The fox chuckled happily. "It might be a good time to focus the public's attention on you, Francis," his perky assistant said. She was a society columnist named Flurry, who was brilliant at finding ways to improve his image. "You are, after all, a successful business leader with a lot of authority." Flurry had it all planned out already. "I can picture you in politics soon, and perhaps even as the new mayor who overthrows William the Wolf. I once tried to take the reins. It didn't work out. William the Wolf ruined it for me." The memory still made Frances shudder with bitterness. Pages 22 and 23. Flurry was a master in her field. She knew how to build fame, good or bad. "In this line of business, you have to be patient. We must get you on a pedestal and knock William off his." But everyone admires William. He's been a popular mayor for years and has never done anything even remotely criminal. Frances had to admit the old wolf had his merits. "We'll start with you. Your appearance could use a little makeover. With carefully trimmed fur and neatly filed nails, you'll make a good impression. We could also do something about your smile," Flurry said, listing all the things they had to do. Within a couple of days, they had completely updated the fox's wardrobe, had his nails done, his fur groomed, and his teeth capped with shining white crowns. Once Flurry had taught Francis how to smile with a big grin, he was ready for a photo shoot. And so began a celebrity campaign quite unlike any ever seen before, with Francis the Fox grinning in the spotlight, his teeth shining brightly. Pages 24 and 25. "I've gotten a lot of new admirers. Fan mail is pouring in from all the shows. I must get more powerful computers and a bigger mailbox by the street," Francis said while glancing over the poll results, contently rubbing his paws together. "This is just the beginning." Flurry was already plotting their next move. "Next we'll focus on William the Wolf. My friends at the recording studio gave me a fabulous idea. The worst thing you can do in public is to put your foot in your mouth." The fox didn't quite understand. William the Wolf always chooses his words so carefully. He never stumbles. The deviousness of Flurry's scheme was soon revealed. When William the Wolf had visited the fox, the sound engineer had secretly recorded their whole conversation. The sound engineer will make some magic with the audio tape. You'll get to hear the results soon. Flurry and the sound engineer hurried off, looking mischievous. Pages 26 and 27. After toiling away all morning, Flurry was finally happy with the documentary she had created about William the Wolf. The film contained real video clips and pictures from his career, but the audio portion had been completely invented. "How will anyone buy this?" Frances said doubtfully. "The city folk know William and remember all the good things he has done over the years." "Just wait and see. The best is yet to come. When they hear what William has to say, they simply must fall for it." Frances could hardly believe his ears. An odd-sounding recording played William the Wolf talking utter nonsense. "We must scam the city residents, the sooner the better," William's voice roared. "It's going to cost a lot, but fame has its price. Power is pricey but profitable." "But that can't be William," the fox exclaimed. "It is his voice, but we just edited his words and rearranged them. Pretty good, don't you think?" Flurry and the sound engineer were very proud of what they had put together. Pages 28 and 29. That night, Francis couldn't sleep. He was feverishly thinking about whether he could actually release the phony recording. By morning, he had made his decision. "If I'm going to become something big, I must take drastic measures." All through the day, folks gasped from shock when the Fox's news outlets churned out its sensational news about William the Wolf and his actions and statements. It was all everyone talked about that day. Some of the residents blasted the claims as fake news, but others, especially the Fox's admirers, were convinced that the recording was real. "We can hear that it's the old mayor's voice. The fox must be right. William is a villain after all." Pages 30 and 31. In the staff room at the police station, everyone was listening to the Fox's channel. Commissioner Pincher almost choked on his juice when the allegations against the old mayor began. The Fox has really crossed the line this time. Commissioner Pincher was outraged to hear his old friend William's words on the radio. He could tell right away that the broadcast was nothing but a hodgepodge of lies. What nonsense! None of these statements are real. That recording was clearly made from bits and pieces of different conversations. In City Hall, everyone was stunned by the recording. Disappointed in his former protege, William the Wolf called the commissioner, who promised to take immediate action. The fox had to be stopped once and for all. Pages 32 and 33. After William had filed a report against the fox, the authorities stepped in. A police car pulled up in front of the premises of the Fox's new channel, and then a thorough search was conducted. "You have no right to interrupt my businesses like this." Francis the Fox ran frantically back and forth, trying to hide as much evidence as he could. Commissioner Pincher waved a warrant under the Fox's nose and pulled open drawers without pity. Soon they found more than enough proof of the Fox's illicit tricks. On Francis's computer were William the Wolf's original speeches and the edited audio files. Pages 34 and 35. The following weeks were humiliating for Francis the Fox. He was sued for defamation, fraud, tax evasion, trespassing, eavesdropping, and unauthorized surveillance. The prosecutor had no shortage of offenses to choose from. "Is there nothing you can do to help me?" Francis pleaded with William the Wolf, who was not going to waver, not this time. The fox had blatantly abused his friend's trust and smeared his reputation. "You're on your own now. It's time you finally grow up and take responsibility for your actions," William the wolf said firmly. The old mayor was very disappointed and angry. Pages 36 and 37. In what turned out to be a long trial, the fox had to use all his verbal skills when he tried to defend himself against the crushing mountain of evidence. Even before the verdict was announced, it was clear that Francis could no longer even dream of revenue from advertising. His shows were canceled as all the assistants left the Fox's new channel. Even the big sign on the roof was switched off. The first one to leave was society columnist Flurry. "Bye-bye, Francis. Hope we meet again one day in more cheerful circumstances." The door slammed, and the only thing left behind was the scent of her perfume. Other tabloid reporters and paparazzi followed her out. In his empty office building, Francis the Fox rolled a pen in his paw. "If I go to prison, I'll write a memoir," Francis said to himself, feeling hopeful. "I'm sure it would sell like hot cakes among my admirers. It would surely bring me handsome profits, even if I told nothing but the truth." You have listened. The Fox's New Channel of the Francis the Fox series, a children's book by Dr. Tuula Pere, published by Wickwick, read aloud by Jessica, Virtual Voices of Wickwick Labs.